Hello, Butler 1199. My name is Dan. I'm the delegate from BH Call Intake, and today is April 15th. We've had another bargaining session, so here I am again. Quick disclaimer, this is not an official 1199 communication. This is my thoughts and opinions and should be taken as such. This is also not a replacement for talking to your delegate. You got to stay in touch with your delegate. You got to get updates from your delegate because as things start to move on, information will be changing very quickly. These videos can start getting out of date very quickly. So as much as I enjoy having you all watch, uh, keep talking to your delegates. So, bargaining session today. The miracle has occurred. There has been the tiniest little baby steps that management has made towards actually getting to a fair contract. They're still pretty far away from that, but we'll get into it. So today we started off with going over our proposals and just very small little tweaks and tunes. One could technically say that it's bargaining, that it's movement. It wasn't much that was very significant. Um, some so they were adjusting some proposals that had some rather large numbers, like non-economic proposals that had be like 90 days, but we reduced that down to 30 days for certain, like letting us know um, about like arbitrations, things like that. Um, and a tiny little tweak to our wage proposal, just you know a minuscule inch towards them to technically be bargaining. And after a very long time waiting, they did come back to us with some movement in our direction. So what they have adjusted their wage proposal, and I'm sure they'll be sending you a million emails about it and putting it up on big banners like a North Korean parade and parading them around the hospital. They adjust the percent raises by 1% to all their percent. So they previously had like the 2-1-1-2 for on scale and the 4-2-2-4 for off scale. So that's now a 3-2-2-3 and a 5-3-3-5. That was the significant movement that they made. And by significant, I mean it's still nowhere near where we need it for a wage proposal. They also proposed to up the minimum wage from I believe it's at 15.53 to 17, which is still nowhere near where we need it to be. We have proposed, dollar raises at the start of the contract across the board that are still quite a bit higher than that. That would get everyone where they actually need to be to start. And then, obviously building out our wage scales, the 10-year wage scales to all the departments. And then, a couple of contract raises for the 2-year contract that we are proposing. Let's keep in mind they're still in the fantasy land that they deserve a 4-year contract. Certainly not with these numbers. Maybe if they, start multiplying the numbers that they're offering by other numbers, maybe we'd be in talks about a 4-year contract. Even then, my opinion, 4-year contract was off the table the moment they didn't do those market surveys, 2 years ago. So that was the big movement. Huge. They're just wow, amazing. They're still proposing to cut the benefits up pretty badly. They're still very obvious that they want to annihilate the HSA. They did actually use the words eliminate the HSA a couple times, not in saying that they directly wanted to eliminate the HSA, but it was pretty obvious. I mean, it's always been pretty obviously that they want that. They want the HSA gone. We have no interest in taking any cuts to our healthcare. Um, I think something to keep in mind, people have brought this up. Well, where are we going to budge? Where are we going to budge? Women and infants did not take any cuts. So any of their benefits or anything like that, we have no intention to either. Um, the hospital's making money hand over fist. Our inpatient census counts are crazy, right? Everyone knows that we're stocked to the gills every day. We know that for sure. We get call. We're getting, like 10 times the amount of calls as patients who actually come in. Um, and that's just inpatient, right? They have built out their outpatient. We in call center, I can say this from personal experience. We are stuffing their programs full of people. They are making a lot of money, inpatient, outpatient, everywhere, right? The OEC is starting to crank up. The partials are they keep increasing the capacity of partials, and we keep matching it. They are absolutely making money, and a lot of it. And in the same regard, they made money by forcing us to eat all that inflation. They made money by taking the ARPA money that was meant for us for themselves. They have the money already. They don't need to cut the money out of us. We have no intentions of cutting money out of ourselves to help them pay us. That's not on the table, and it shouldn't be. You're wiser than that. We're not, this is not a playing games contract. This is this is a very significant contract that needs to address a lot of very serious issues that we faced over the last 4 years. So that's where we're at. They're still playing games around cutting the dental high plan, right? And they even made their proposals about the HMO and PPO a little bit better. They're like, oh, no, we're going to make that better. And they explicitly said it so that way, people will go to those after we essentially ruin the HSA. And they still live in the complete fantasy land that they are going to cut new people off from the pension. Now, I said it in the last video, it's a death sentence for the pension. If we cut new people off from the pension, as the years roll on, less money will be going into the pension. It'll eventually become insolvent, and then they can finally kill the damn thing. And it's their plays are obvious. They're tried out. They, but they're starting to make movement, and that is important, right? Because that means that there is momentum. That means that the pressure that we're already exerting is starting to get to them. And this is before we've even gotten to our picket yet, right? And they're starting to feel the heat. Now, I'm not saying that I'm foolish enough to think that, they're feeling uncomfortable. They're not. They're still in comfy territory. They've obviously, budgeted out like where they think they can go and all that. And we need to push them, right? This is a contract which we have to actually really push them until they are rather uncomfortable. And that requires staying strong. That requires showing up to actions. That requires responding to your delegates and strike captains. You know, um, the leadership of this union, the delegates, we need to be sure that everyone's on board with the plan, and the plan being to take the money that we deserve from them. It means making a safer hospital, forcing them to actually be managers of a hospital and not, you know, business owners. Um, so you please respond to your delegates when they're asking you whatever it is we're trying to get you to sign or whatever. Um, show up for the picket. Um, and if you can, please show up to the rally on May 3rd. That's dealing with Governor McKee. Let's keep in mind this is a governor who, when being interviewed during the race, a nurse asked him, if my union were to go on strike, would you support me? And he said no. He would rather send the National Guard. that's tough talk. He's not a man with a spine. He's not going to oppose us. He's got a bridge disaster. He can't handle, what a healthcare union could do to him if he opposed us. Um, but, you got to put pressure on him in order to break what little spine he does have. Um, and that's where we got to be. Um, you know, they're this this administration. They live in a fantasy land. I'll give you one little story. Um, a Someone from management over in the Sawyer building called up to the call center asking for security because they were worried we would go and vandalize their car. Right? I mean, this is where we're at. We're a union that has been here for decades. We're not gonna set your car on fire. This isn't Mad Max. We are workers who deserve to be treated with respect, and we don't feel that it's happening. You know, they live in a total unreality. Um, so let's keep going, Butler. Let's keep it together and show them that we're not playing games. We're not doing little ticky tack, pass back and forth. We're moving towards a resolution, and you need to either get there or not. Um, so let's keep dragging them. Let's keep dragging them forward, drag them into a sane reality, and let's get the things that we deserve, that our patients deserve, and that this hospital deserves, despite what they've done to us. So have a good one.